Hello, ladies. Hello, hello. So, when your heart suddenly pounds, flutters,
Hello.
skips,
So,
and nobody has explained why. You're sitting on the couch, nothing major has happened. You're not exercising, you're not stressed. At least you don't feel stressed in the moment. And suddenly, thump, thump, thump. Or perhaps it's a flutter or a little flip in your chest, or that strange feeling that your heart has skipped a beat and then landed with a thud. And immediately your attention goes there. What was that? You sit very still, you wait, you check your watch. Maybe you put two fingers on your wrist. Is that going ballistic? And although it lasts seconds, your brain has already gone somewhere completely different. Is there something wrong with my heart? And that is the bit I want to talk about today. Because heart racing, palpitations, skipping a beat can be incredibly unsettling, particularly when you've never experienced them anything like that before. And I've heard women say, I was literally sitting watching telly. Why was my heart behaving as though I was running from a tiger? Or I also hear, it woke me from my sleep and I was terrified to go back to sleep. Hi, Michelle. Or my heart started racing in the supermarket and suddenly I just wanted to get out. And sometimes that palpitation passes, but the fear doesn't. And you start listening to the next one, watching, waiting. So before we go any further, I want to say palpitations. When I say palpitations, it can mean different things to different people. That's why, like even last week, I said, when someone says to me they're struggling with anxiety, I say, well, what's anxiety look like for you? So when I say heart palpitations, it could also be, it could look different to different people. It might feel like pounding or fluttering or racing or skipping or an extra beat or a sudden thud or simply becoming intensely aware of your heartbeat. It can feel like it's trying to explode out of your chest because we really need to get clear, and the distinction matters because palpitations are a symptom, not a diagnosis. They can happen when they can happen for many different reasons. And hormonal change can be a part of the picture, absolutely. So can stress and adrenaline. But so can thyroid dysfunction, anemia, dehydration, caffeine, alcohol, some medications, some supplements, electrolyte disturbances, abnormal heart rhythms. So my first message today is don't panic, but don't dismiss it either. So we're not going to decide that every racing heart in a 50-year-old woman is menopause. We're going to listen to what your body is trying to tell us. So here's where midlife becomes interesting. For years, many women think of estrogen as a reproductive hormone, periods, fertility, menopause. But estrogen affects throughout the body, including cardiovascular, autonomic nervous system. So during menopause, when hormones can fluctuate considerably, some women notice sensations they've never experienced before. Their heart suddenly feels louder. Their internal thermostat changes. Sleep changes. Their tolerance for stress changes. And then you add in the life stage as well. That sandwich generation. Children, parents, work, relationships, finances, mental load, poor sleep, trying to keep everybody else happy and okay. And sometimes I think a midlife woman's nervous system deserves an Employee of the Month award and an unpaid employee at that. It has been working overtime for years. And adrenaline doesn't care whether the threat is a tiger or 47 things, all those tabs are open on your mental to-do list. Your heart responds to the signal it receives. So imagine your nervous system has an accelerator and a brake. For years, you've been pressing on the accelerator, push, 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 getting everyone organized, meeting deadlines, keep going, sort dinner, answer the message, wake at 3 a.m., start again. And then we wonder why the engine occasionally revs while we're sitting at the traffic lights. Sometimes the problem isn't what happened right then in that particular moment. It's the load the system has been carrying before that moment. What's led up to it? The part that can become debilitating. And this is where I think the conversation often stops too early, because we're told palpitations can happen during menopause. Okay, but what does that actually mean for the woman living with them? Imagine you have them while you're driving, but it passes. Tomorrow you get in the car and you think, I hope that doesn't happen again. Now you're monitoring, you're scanning. Right? Maybe you have one in bed. The next evening you lie down and listen for your heartbeat. You have one walking around the shops. So next time you wonder whether you should go shopping alone. And gradually your world becomes smaller around the symptom that lasts a few seconds. And that's the bit I want you all to understand, because once something frightens us, we start scanning for it. Was that my heart? Is it faster than normal? Why can I feel it? Why can I hear it? Should I check my watch? You got a smartwatch. And then, or if you want to count how long it lasts or how long in between each episode, and then the fear itself activates the nervous system. So we get this feedback loop. Adrenaline increases, heartbeat gets faster. You notice it more. You become frightened. More adrenaline, more awareness. And now we've created a feedback loop. And that doesn't mean the original symptom was in your imagination. Absolutely not. It means a physical symptom, the heart palpitations, a physical symptom, right? It has been created a knock-on effect. And fear can begin feeding each other. And that's why it's very different from telling a woman it's just anxiety. So think about a woman. Let's call her Julie. She's 52. She spent most of her life being capable. She's the one who sorts things out. She doesn't consider herself anxious at all. Then one night she wakes up suddenly, 2:40 a.m. Her heart's pounding. She's hot. She sits upright and she thinks something's wrong. Eventually it settles. But the next morning she's exhausted. She doesn't tell anyone because it sounds dramatic now that it's over. Then it happens again a week later. Now she's checking her heart rate on her watch. She's cut out coffee, then the wine, then the chocolate. She's Googling symptoms at midnight. And every time her watch gives her a slightly unusual number, her stomach drops. The symptom has stopped being just a symptom. It's changed how safe she feels in her own body. And this is why the conversation matters. So if this is what's happening for you, the first step isn't a supplement. It actually isn't breath work. It isn't deciding it's hormones. The first thing you have to do is get it appropriately assessed, especially if it's new, if it's persistent, if it's worsening, or if it's happening frequently. And if palpitations occur with symptoms like chest pain, fainting, severe shortness of breath, and other concerning symptoms, please seek medical attention. We do not ignore that, because reassurance also means far more when we've actually ruled out what needs ruling out. We want to lower that stress, remember. So we want to rule out that it's anything sinister. The reassurance does that. And depending on the circumstances, a clinician may consider things like your medical history, your medications, your stimulant load, your blood tests, an ECG, or longer rhythm monitoring, like a 24-hour Holter, right? That's not catastrophizing. That's good healthcare. Right, and then once we've ruled out the sinister, that's when we get curious, right? And once serious concerns have been considered, now we ask, what else is happening around this symptom? Rather than asking, how do I stop my heart racing? I want to ask, I want to know how you're sleeping. Are you waking up hot? Are you skipping meals? Are you running on coffee? Has alcohol started affecting you differently? How much stress are you carrying? Are you eating enough? What's happening with your blood sugar levels? What medication, supplements are you taking? What's your thyroid doing? And are there signs of iron deficiency or anemia? Or perhaps, most importantly, when did this begin and what else was happening around the time? Because that's symptom decoding. We're not chasing one symptom around the body. We're looking at the story. So if you're thinking, okay, Sally, what can I actually do? I'm not going to give you a 17-point checklist. Right? I want you to remember 3 things. Number 1, create certainty. If you don't know what the symptom is, get it checked. If you don't know it's because of medication or caffeine sensitivity or something else, if you don't know what it is, it's new and all those other symptoms around it, get it checked, right? Fear thrives in uncertainty. Knowing what you're dealing with changes the conversation. Second, notice the pattern, not just the palpitation. Keep a simple record. When did it happen? What were you doing? How had you slept? Had you eaten? What about the coffee, the alcohol, was there hot flushes? Was it a stressful day? Don't become obsessed with monitoring. We're looking for clues, not creating another full-time job to add on the to-do list to keep track on everything. And the third thing is support your system between episodes. And this is the bit that often gets missed. You can't wait until your heart is racing for suddenly decide your nervous system needs care. It's what happened in the other 23 hours, 59 minutes that matters. It's having those regular meals. It's having adequate hydration. It's making sure you get good quality sleep, some movement and recovery. It's reducing unnecessary stimulants if they are a trigger. And creating actual moments in the day when your body isn't being asked to perform. Not scrolling while you eat, not answering emails whilst going for your walk, not listening to a podcast while holding the washing, while mentally writing tomorrow's to-do list. Sometimes a cup of tea needs to be just sitting and having a cup of tea. Your body needs movements and moments that when nothing is required of it. So here's what I want you to take away today. Your heart racing doesn't automatically mean your heart is failing. But it does deserve your attention, not fear, not dismissal, attention. Sometimes it's a cardiovascular issue that needs medical care. I'm not ignorant. Sometimes hormones, sleep, stress, or other physiological changes are contributing. Sometimes several things are happening all at once. That's why I don't want you Googling one symptom and trying to fix it yourself from a list, right? And then you Google the next symptom, and then you Google the next symptom. We have a scattergun approach, right? I want you thinking and asking, what is the whole story my body is telling me? Because symptoms don't always arrive as neat little individual boxes. Nice if it did make my job a lot easier. The body doesn't have a filing cabinet labeled like a textbook: hormones, stress, heart, gut, sleep. It's one woman, one body, and a very interconnected set of systems. And as I say, if one system is struggling, another system will take the overload to keep you going. And that brings me back to something I've been exploring, because a racing heart can feel like a heart problem, but sometimes it's happening in a woman whose entire system has forgotten how to switch off. When you finally sit down, but your body is still running. You go to bed, but your brain is still working. You go on holiday and you spend the first 3 days or more trying to remember how to relax. Sound familiar? That's exactly what we explored in this month's workshop. Was it last week or the week before? Time keeps flying, doesn't it? The workshop was why you can't switch off even when you get a chance to. Because sometimes the symptom that gets our attention isn't the beginning of the story. It's the moment the body finally gets long enough, loud enough for us to listen. And perhaps that's the question I want to leave with you today. What has your body been trying to tell you that you've been too busy to hear? I wonder. Also, a little reminder that Wednesday evening this week, so we're the 27th or 29th, Wednesday evening, 7 o'clock, I am holding a masterclass about the invisible load. So it's about recognizing all that your body is trying to do, cope with, and survive through, and the impact that is having on your health, your mind health, your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health. So don't forget to register for Wednesday's masterclass. It's free to register and join us live. If you can't make it and you want access, ongoing access, you can upgrade to a VIP. It's only $27 if you want that. Otherwise, come along live, join in, get in the energy. And Michelle, you are so very welcome. Look, I love teaching. I love helping women understand what is going on rather than living in fear. And, we've got to remember that our body is, we can't be treating our 2026 body with the way we treated it in 1986 or 2006. Our body is different. We've got a different plethora of symptoms, and we have to meet it where it's at now and work with what we have now to have that health span, not just lifespan, not just live longer, but live longer healthy. All right, ladies, hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, just reach out.